Hi, I'm Lee with Sanctuary Family Farms. I'm married to Kai. We have two kids. Eli is coming up on 13, and Kira, our daughter, is about to turn 10. And I am the farmer of the family.
I'm not much of a fairy tale guy. I didn't play Prince Charming with my daughter and rescue her from the evil witch, godmother, scary beast, or even read the fairy tales to her. But there is a story that I read that has stuck with me over the years. From memory, it goes a little something like this. A father was putting his young daughter to bed one evening. He asked her, "Do you love me?" "Of course, Daddy. I love you to the moon and back." "Then give me your pearl necklace." It was a toy necklace that she had bought earlier with her mom. She immediately grabbed the necklace and held it in both hands as she pulled away from him. "No, Daddy, you know how much I love these pearls. They are my favorite thing. But here, you can have my stuffed horse. I really love him too." He responded, "No, that's fine. You keep your horse and rest well tonight, sweetie. I love you." A couple weeks later, the father was tucking the little girl in bed again. He asked her the same thing. "Do you love me?" To which she responded, "Of course, Daddy. I love you to the moon and back." "Well, then give me your pearls." She responded the same as before, but this time she offered her stuffed bunny. "Daddy, you know how much I love my pearls." Here, you can have my bunny. You know how much I love him and how he comforts me." "No, baby girl, you keep your bunny. Rest well tonight. I love you." Well, a few weeks later, the father goes in to tuck her into bed. She was upset and crying. He sat down beside her, put his hand on her, and asked her what was wrong. She slowly reached under the covers and pulled out her prized pearl necklace. "Here, Daddy. You know that I love my pearls more than anything in the world. But if you want my pearls, I want you to have them. I love you to the moon and back." He leaned over, kissed her on the forehead, as he put her pearl necklace in his pocket, pulled out a velvet case, and handed it to her. She opened up the case to find the most gorgeous set of pearls she had ever seen. I can't even count the times that I felt and behaved like that little girl. It is so hard to let go of things at times. Obviously, the little girl's necklace was a very poor imitation of the real pearls her father had. And it makes me think of all the things in life that are presented as authentic, but fall so very, very short of the real gifts of God. Or even how many things that I know aren't authentic that I settle for, either from a lack of patience, stubbornness, or just thinking it's as good as it's going to get. So why settle for the fake and phony when I can have the real deal? In the book of Matthew, Jesus speaks of a couple of parables that addresses this. "Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he have, and buyeth that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man, seeking goodly pearls, who when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had, and bought it." Matthew 13:44 through 46. What is common with both men is they found something of great value to them. They placed so much value in it that they did whatever necessary to purchase it. In other words, they went all in. They didn't hold anything back to acquire that one prized possession. They didn't sit back and say, "Man, should've, could've, would've." They went out and did it, and not with drudgery, but with joy and gladness. They knew that everything they were giving up paled in comparison to what they were gaining. This is something that I struggle with. Today, am I giving God lip service and replacing him with something meaningless? Or am I giving him my best and working on surrendering to him instead of the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life? I must remind myself to slow down, find the things of God that bring joy today, and not worry about the things tomorrow, next month, or next year. And as I have said before, I must remind myself that everything comes from him. As James 1:17 says, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. I think it is important to remember that the Lord is patient with us, but at the same time, He is expecting us to grow and mature in the process. His desire is to have the same personal relationship as that father did with his daughter. The question is, do we value the relationship or the things that we take away from it? Have we found that pearl of great price, or are we still holding on to that toy necklace?
So, Lee, I like the analogy, and it comes right on the fact of, I was reading just this last week about a man in Michigan who looked like a kind of a very poor person, and was very frugal in all that he did. But when he died, it was discovered he had something like $14 million, and that he gave it to charity. And I think sometimes we want to overlook, or sometimes it's hard to identify in your analogy what those pearls are that the Lord has given us. So can you speak to that a minute?
I think for me, some of the pearls that I overlook is, one big one is family. God's blessed me with wonderful kids, and I think sometimes, I think I could do more to be in their lives to help them grow and hopefully find where, they can search for what their pearls are, and, hopefully ultimately leading to trying to find that pearl that Christ is. And obviously Christ is one that you had preached a sermon a few months back about, and in your sermon is kind of just a passing statement, but about the sacrifice when God was wanting Cain and Abel to give sacrifice, and I thought about it, Abel brought his best and all that, and then it kind of hit me as like, man, do I really give God my best? And sometimes it's like you realize that you hold on to so many of these other things that are fake, and it's like that kind of hit me pretty hard of like thinking about like, I'm faithful, I pay tithes, I do whatever I give, but it's like, I've never really thought about like, I want my kids to have best, my family to have best, but sometimes it just kind of stuck and hit me that it's like almost like, what's my relationship really like with God if I don't want to give Him my best? And so that's kind of where I want to be, is like get like where like in Matthew when they found that pearl of great price and sold everything they have. I mean, I don't want it to just be lip service of like, yeah, I love God. I want to be.
I see your relationship with both your kids, and especially Eli, because he loves you, and you're a pretty strong disciplinarian, but he loves you, and I've seen him reach over and hug you or play with you or things like that, which he wouldn't do if he was so fearful of you in a bad way. So he doesn't. He respects you. He doesn't fear you, but he respects you. And I think sometimes it's like, how do they get to Christ except through us? Mm-hmm. Because your introduction to them, the most important thing I know that you've said is not even your relationship to your kids, but your kids' relationship to Christ. But as you talk about being able to express to them, because they love you and respect you, that this is what you hold. Your pearl of great price is that relationship with Christ. And I think you can't pass it along to your children because God has no grandchildren.
Right.
But you've got to show them how much you love the Lord And then they then go, wow, if my dad loves the Lord and I respect my dad, there's got to be something very, very important about loving the Lord, which I think conditions them to that.
Yeah, and I was thinking a lot with, especially Eli lately, of, he's growing, he's maturing, but yet there's things in his life that he's missing, that he's just not getting up. He needed punishment, and it was like, I'm sitting here, I have to pray about what punishment is, because he's getting so big that it's like, honestly, he's experienced worse things than, SWATs don't do anything, and it's like, so what, he's just getting to that age, and it's like, I have to really pray about what to do, and I think he's to the point, and Kai and I were talking about how, it's like, with him, I know where I want him to be. I know what kind of man I want him to turn out to be. But yet, it gets difficult in, like, I don't always know how to get him there. I don't know how to get somebody there. And it's like you said, because God doesn't have grandchildren. It's got to be, that's what's hard, is it's like, he's having some issues with homeschooling and thinks he can do this and that. And it's like, nope. I'm like, I was like, no, you're not getting this done. It's going to backfire on you because you're not putting in the work. You're messing around. You're not getting it done. And it's like, we could see the train wreck happening before he even got there. And then it's like, okay. I know I told him, said, I'm not going to bail you out. You're going to have to sink or swim on your own, because you've got to learn the consequences. And it's hard to do those things of getting that. And I wish we could sometimes just interject things into them.
Yeah, I don't think so. But there's one thing I realized, that in the Bible it says in one place that God directs us by His eyes. In other words, what people see. I think of Peter, after he had denied Christ 3 times, and he looked at Jesus, and whatever Jesus looked like in his eyes back to Peter caused Peter to really break down and weep. I think sometimes that sense in them of their being able to not disappoint us is that greatest sense that we can give to them, is like the greatest punishment is not the physical, because the physical, it leaves. And like you said, he's so big, he could, ineffective. But for them to look at us and go, I don't want to disappoint you. It's like us looking at Jesus and saying, Jesus, I really don't want to disappoint you.
Well, and I think whenever, kind of the conclusion and coming to, and with Eli, is he's old enough, it's like, I was telling Jeremiah the other day, is like, you know what? You have the carrot and the stick, and I think almost, not that the stick doesn't work and can work, you got to figure out what that stick is. But I think with Eli, I'm realizing that, he's to the age where it's going to have to be a whole lot more carrot. Not that the stick does not come in, but it's almost, when I say that, I mean more along the lines of, I want him to start finding out for himself the why he does things.
Yeah.
The why. What's the why of life? What's God calling you for? What do you do? Not what mom and dad or Paul tells you, but like, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And I think that, sometimes we take things for granted so much. I was thinking today with Christ, we always say that Christ sacrificed and all this stuff, and yes, that Christ sacrificed us, and when we think about the life that he gave up. But I think we fail to recognize that it says that he became less than the angels, and he emptied himself of everything. He had everything in heaven, and he emptied all that to come here. But there was a lot of why and a lot of purpose and a lot of mission behind that, and I think that's important too. And I think that is one of the pearls that you got to hold on to, and that's what I'm trying to grasp and try to figure out how to put in a practical way to teach him of, like, that's what it's about.
Yeah, Christ was not forced to come; he chose to come because of his Father. Lee, thanks. That's really good. I really like the discussion. I really like the way you live your life and raise your kids. So, Next time, write me another blog.
Okay.
Hey y'all, thanks for joining us for Around the Supper Table. At Sanctuary Family Farms, we want to be real. Whether that's through our blogs, daily verses, or even Nana's recipes, we want to share the messages that God has laid on each of our hearts. If you liked what you heard today or want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Sanctuary Family Farms or our website at www.sanctuaryfamilyfarms.com, where we share our recipes and blogs and sell farm fresh beef and pork. We can't wait for you to join us again for next week's episode.